Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the conference of the Global Apparel Sourcing Expo, organized by the IAF, the International Apparel Federation, and its partners, ForSource and Sourcing Journal. It is a pleasure now to explain to you that during this conference, we are looking at a number of major topics in the apparel industry: sustainability, innovation, the new sourcing map, and digitization. And it is the digitization topic that we are covering today, a hugely important topic that has become even more important with the advent of the COVID-19 crisis and the fact that we are suddenly faced with a situation where we can't travel. It is my pleasure now to announce to you a very important player in the world of digitization. Mr. Andreas Seidl is the CEO of Assyst. Assyst is a human solutions company. And during his presentation, we are going to see that what was once deemed as an extra, a nice thing to have, is now becoming a necessity to digitize the processes in the supply chain. And we'll also see that this is very much possible, and that some companies, such as Assyst, have been doing this for a very long time. So it's our pleasure now to listen to Mr. Seidl. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Matthias, for your introduction. It's a great pleasure for me you visit here in my office and to lead you to the slides in the next 20-25 minutes. I prepared, let me say, a journey in a new world, in a 3D world, which could be an interesting answer on all corona problems we had in the last weeks and months. The question we have is, how can we make our business safer? How can we make it faster and cheaper in the processes? How can we reduce times and increase speed, especially in product development? And for this, I prepared some slides for you, and please let us start. And I press here the button and hope that I can share it with you. And yes, so I think you should see the slides. Okay, the presentation, Forget Corona, Develop 3D as a possible answer on all problems and needs what we have now. What we saw in the Corona time, that we need really a new, faster R&D and development time, development technology. What we have here, we see this, that we have in the last weeks, we had no travel. We were not able to go to our suppliers, to Bangladesh, to China, everywhere in the world. The solution could be a digital communication from brand to supplier and vice versa. So everything works well and quick without traveling. The second one, cost pressure. What we have now, we need in the future that we need reducing our development time. And one strong possibility is that we convert our physical samples to virtual samples, that we convert our physical sales rooms to virtual sales rooms, because they are much more quicker, much more cheaper, easy to prepare, easy to change. This could be an interesting chance. Now we are in a restart phase after Corona. What we need is now a reduce of workload so that we can start quickly. We need reduced oversampling. I will explain it a little bit how we can do it. And what we see that we have changed sales channels, and so what we see here, there's a big opportunity for a faster workflow from the design phase to the virtual sales room. We can do this in, let me say, 40 days and not in 15 months or so, like we have it today. And a very important point in this solution process is 3D product design. That means we move our classic 2D virtual or physical sampling to a 3D sampling and I will explain it, how you can do that and how our customers are doing this in the last years. First question always is, how good is a virtual solution or a virtual sampling? And here, for example, one of our customers, a shirt maker, you see here a physical one and you see a virtual one. And the question to you is, which one is the virtual? Which one is the physical? I give you 5 seconds and look around, compare it, and give you yourself an idea which one is it. And I will answer it, I think, with a sentence of Hugo Boss. And this lady said, and I think it's a fantastic sentence. She said, you see the simulation in the perfection. It's better than the real world. And what you see in the shirt, the right one is the better. And this is really the virtual simulation. The left one is the photography, a professional photography of a produced sample. But what you see here, we are on the same level of quality. And you can decide today on simulation. It's possible. Before I answer and show you how you can do that, let me make a quick look to our company, what we are doing. The company Assyst, located in Munich. We have approximately 100 employees there. We develop fashion solutions. A lot of you know us from CAT and marker making. Here we have very strong solutions. We are #1 in Germany, Austria, Switzerland. We are strong in Turkey, in Italy. And today we focused on 3D simulation and combined with CAD so that you can use your old CAD files and bring it to 3D and get these virtual samples on a high level. This is what we are doing now with what we're doing in the last years, mainly for our customers. We have approximately 1,500 customers worldwide, focused on the Central Europe. Main customers, Hugo Boss is one of the biggest. We have S. Oliver, Max Mara, and so on. There are a lot of important brands using our technologies for 3D and 2D. Let us start with a small introduction how 3D design works. There are different opportunities, different technologies in the market, but the main technology is always the same, and the goal is to convert the physical sample to virtual samples. This is what you have to do. So today you have these physical samples. You create this with paper, pencils, sewing machines, and so on. And what we see when we look in the companies, there are approximately costs from 5 to 15% of the revenue, of the yearly revenue, are invested in sample costs. Sometimes these costs are not really transparent. Sometimes they are integrated in the supplier delivery costs or so on. But at the end of the day, this physical samples must be paid, and you do that. The brand is doing that, and typically in this area it's a really high part of the revenue. And please, if you can take some percentage out of that and move it to the EBIT or EBITDA line, so this is a big advantage for a company beside speeds increasing and so on. So there's a high interest and high opportunity to save costs. But you have to convert your process to these virtual samples. I explained before, the virtual samples are working well, and you can decide on and how do you do that. Typically, you do this in the case first. Three steps, three simple steps. First, you take an avatar. This avatar, this body, this bust, simulate your customer, your house model in the design phase, then the different body sizes when you develop the different sizes and make your fitting. And you can use high-end avatars like for virtual photo shootings. This is what the software, typically a 3D software, is offering. An avatar studio, avatar library where you can select the avatars. Some companies create their own one. They have their own sizing understanding and philosophy. All the things can be integrated in different avatar bibliotheques. So the second one is you have fabrics, and these fabrics are described by physical parameters. In our case, in the Vidya product, for example, it's there's 16 physical parameters, and this 16 parameters typically are measured with standardized measuring systems, cover butter test, for example. And the combination of that allows to work with that and to describe the fabric in the right manner. Our system comes with a big file with hundreds of fabrics, where typically, let me say, 90% of all fabrics are included, and you can work with them. The third element, what we have are patterns or templates, and behind these templates are different patterns. You select, for example, a trouser, and the system knows a pattern structure and takes that out without that you see that, and you can work with that. You see directly then this piece of cloth on the avatar. It's after 5 to 10 seconds is simulated, and you see that. And then you drag and drop the fabric on it. So first you drop drag and drop the model, so the trousers or the shirt or the suit. And then you drag and drop the fabric on it, you see it, and you drag and drop the texture, the colors, and all things you want to change. This is the first step. Then you get this first impression, and then typically your designer can change it. So you change, for example, the lines here, the length of that, the circumference here, the fitting structure. And you do this typically on a 3D technology. So you click in, you move it down, for example, or make it a little bit longer, and automatically all the patterns in the background are adapted, and you can, at the end of the design phase, you can export it and send to your supplier, and he can finalize the CAD patterns. You can use it the same, you can use it for fitting tests, and at the end of the day, you can photo shoot it, you can create high-end pictures, so you can use it in your photo studio or in your virtual showrooms. This is a little bit the structure, how it works. Here we have I prepared some pictures for you that you see how fast it is, how quick it is. Here you see a basic shirt. Here we increased the logo. The logo comes from a 2D painting system, Illustrator, for example, or Corel Draw, or whatever. Here we cut out here a second piece, and we sew it on it, as a virtual sewing. Then here an additional cutout and 2 additional patterns we integrate, and the rest is a new product. And this change is done in some minutes, and so you can play, and you get always a fantastic response, how it looks like, and much more quicker than in the real physical sample world. And what we learned, for example, one customer on a trade show made a presentation of the product and explained that they have done a new product within one afternoon. And at the end of the day was one question from the auditorium was, do you need less people? And he said, not yet, but or no, but we invest our time in better quality. And in the old process with physical samples, they have 2, maximum 3 iterations, and using 3D, they are able to do 7 to 8 iterations, and the result is the product is much more better. Here another one, different fabrics. Here you see woven and knitted, which is very complex to simulate. Here we have a knitted product. You see always the same structure, the same product, the same pattern with different fabrics, woven and knitted. And here in this knitted, you see here transparency. You see the black bust in the background, the reflection on the bust. You here see here the transparency on this black fabric or this dark gray. You see the transparency of the knitted pullover in the back. You see really the quality of the simulation is extremely high. Very important is it's not necessary here. The simulation you saw here is not done by a third-party simulation, not an additional ray tracing studio, which is expensive or you need special employees. No, it's coming out directly from the software, how you can use it. Here, for example, a combination of 3D design with 2D design integration. We have direct integrations with Illustrator, Corel, or so on, and you can paint your pictures there, and then you can move it here. You can change the size. You always get a response how it fits and how it changed the whole design of your, in this case, of the short trousers. Virtual fitting, how does it work? Here you see, here we have replaced we have replaced the, no, sorry. We have replaced here the avatar, this nice looking avatar, which is more for design decisions, by an avatar here, which is a standardized size Germany bust, which is defined size 52 in this case, or 48, and we make here a fitting, and you see the 3D simulation, and you see these color maps on it, and if it's red, it's very near to the body. If it's blue, it's a big distance to the body, and in the green area it's well fitted, and so you can decide really how near it is. You can simulate the stretch in the fabric or so on. So there are different channels to analyze the fitting of the product, and you can decide it fits or it fits not. Another very important point is arranging outfits. So you can create lookbooks, you can combine your different products, you can decide how things fit, and you do this all on this virtual technology. Here we have, because we support multi-layering, multi-producting. You see here the shirt under here, this vest and the trousers, and over the trousers you can take the shirt into the trousers here. So the technology knows that and simulate in the correct manner. You can design how it looks, or you use these pictures for your sales process. I have here another video. I hope it works. You see here a virtual showroom, what we have done with one of our customers. And this virtual showroom connected our software with a virtual showroom software, and you see this in an VR environment on the iPad or on an AR, also augmented reality. You see here the background filmed with the camera in the tablet, and you see integrated here the product. Here, this is a flight into the product, a flight through the product. You can do everything. For example, in this software, we realized more than 1,500 products in the combination of the company, a partner, and our company. And this shows a little bit the power we have today with this technology. And the goal is to use this technology to sell on a virtual way. And you see, you can go in, you can expand, you can see details in the fabric, you can see details on the product. You fly through this virtual world fully integrated and combined with the real background you see here. And so it's a fantastic possibility to show the developed products and to reduce, for example, time with the retailers, and you are focusing really on sales process itself. So this was a quick look to the technology. Let us look on the benefit side here. Very important point is, where can you save money? Where can you save time? And I will explain this a little bit more on the process you typically have. Today we have this working together supplier, brand, and the retail companies. And typically you start with the line planning phase, then you start a pre-development phase where you get an idea of your collection of different products. Then typically the first samples are created, and with these samples you go in a final collection phase, in a decision phase, and you select what you want to sell in the next phase. Then you go to the showroom or to the order procedure, and after that, when you have the correct numbers, production numbers, you start the final development. Then the manufacturing process, including sourcing and manufacturing, delivery, and sales. This process typically needs time, so a lot of companies, they integrated a creative buying phase, and what we see is that, let me say, 80% of the companies now or today, they need 7 to 15 months for this whole process. And there are some disadvantages. I don't know really what happens in 15 months. We don't know really what happens with the market in 15 months. So the goal is make it shorter. And let us look on this development phase. I think this is the phase where you can save much money and much time, because the sourcing, the production is limited by, let me say, fabrics, by the fabric for the manufacturing lines itself. But in this phase in front of, which needs approximately 50% or 60% of the full developing time, you can save really time, and with this 3D technology. And what we can show you here is that you move it, you compress it, you use the same process elements, but you move it to a new world, to a virtual world. And to do that, you need 4 elements. First is in the pre-developing phase. The line planning is the same. The line planning, you collect data, you bring it together and so on. But in the pre-development phase, where you make typically drawings and then samples, and you create samples, you replace this by virtual samples. The software product today is good enough that a designer can work with it. It's not necessary that the person has pattern knowledge. So the software is working on 3D. It's easy. It's like a game, and you can play with that. You can create hundreds and thousands of virtual samples very quickly, but you have to move or to change your people, the employees, to that they want to do that, and they go with this technology, but you design the virtual samples. The second one, and this is more an issue of management, is you have to decide on virtual samples. This is not so easy. I think a lot of companies, I will explain a little bit later on what is the right way to integrate this in the company, but to move it, to do the design is the one hand side. You can let me say, motivate your people, but deciding is a management issue, and we learned in the last years that there are a lot of managers outside, they say they are not able to design on virtual samples. And so I think this is really a second change process in the company. You have to decide on it. Then a third one is really to reduce physical samples. So when you are able to decide, then you can reduce it. And typically what we see are combinations, virtual sample, also virtual and physical samples. For example, one physical sample is made as a master and all color models, for example, or different fabrics on the same model are done with on a virtual way. So it's a possibility to reduce it, but not to lose the, let me say, typical old way. And the fourth one is that, and this is, we think, a very important point, is that all this development you have done on virtual pace, you can use ongoing in the, let me say, in the production and the final product development phase, which is then in 2D on the CAD system, and because you need the 2D pattern to cut it. And so there must be a connection from 3D world to the 2D world. And if you are able to install these 4 elements, automatically you get these shorter cycles of development. What we have seen in the last years, and we do this with a lot of companies since 2015 approximately. This was the time where 3D started really. That what we see now, that we have approximately 30 to 50% of time savings. Very important point. In some manners, it's a little bit lower because then it's a little bit depends on the product, but 30 to 50% time savings are normal. Another very important point is the reduce of workload inside the process. What we saw, for example, this is an example of one company. They had, for example, in each collection where they sell approximately 200 products in a collection, they start with 600 products in the line concept. Then they have a first elimination phase. Then they have 450s decided in the line plan. And then they have to develop this 450 products in the pre-development. And then here's the decision. And then they cut it to 200 pieces. When you move it, when you move the decision phase from this point to that point, then you have a fantastic effect. You can reduce really the whole workload of this big rectangle. You see that when you decide here, this goes down, for example, to 250, then you have always 20% oversampling, but this is a very strong effect in reducing workload and time in your company. Here in the workload saving, we see similar 30 to 60% of savings. Depends a little bit how it is here. We see companies, they have only in a normal process 50% oversampling, so it's not so much. But here really this 30 to 60 is that what we have seen in the last years. Yeah, and here you see all benefit simulations of 3D on the process. Here you reduce the design drawings, the pattern design, sampling, fabric definition, salesman samples, that what we talked before. And here are the elements where you can save time. Speed design, we talked about virtual fitting. I showed these pictures, arrange outfits, colorways, very important, or colors is their own block, because you can much more better decide where different colors, how they fit, or the same color, is it good enough? Collaboration, very, very important point, how you work together with your suppliers, for example, your production lines. And then upcoming now more and more as the sales visualization, to use all design you create in the development phase really directly in the sales visualization. These are the big benefits of 3D simulation. These are the customers we have. I think the big brands started or starting now more and more with 3D. Hugo Boss was an early starter, a big company, big 3D process actually. Same with Decathlon, very strong. S. Oliver, the Otto Group. So this some companies work, or a lot of companies are working with it in different areas, and it's an interesting possibility to save time. What had the companies achieved as a summary? Commercial benefits, what I explained before, this pre-development time is able to reduce 15 to 50%, workload oversampling 30 to 60%. First time right, a very important point. What we saw is that the first time right is to make a decision, and the first decision is the right one. Sometimes what we saw is there is made a decision, after that things changed, then the same decision was done a second or a third time, fourth time, they move it now and change the decision. So this stops each speed in each company. So this is a very important point. With 3D, you get a very high rate of the first time right decision and increased 30 to 50%. Decrease of communication or waste of communication, a very important point too. We see there's a lot of double communication, wrong communication, communication of misunderstandings. So a good 3D simulation let explain things much more better, much more easier, and everyone has the same understanding what is the goal at the end of the process. Yeah, the advantage when you move to 3D, then each year and each step you do is automatically a basic for the next digitalization steps. We know, every one of us know that. We have to do more in digitalization. The fashion industry is not very good in this case. So this is could be a strong first step into this world and helps quickly to save time. Very important point, a lot of companies are asking, yeah, how can I implement that? Is it enough to buy software and to start with that? And let me say, no, it's much more, because to buy a software and to use that allows some of your employees to understand that. But in the transparency before, I explained these 4 elements, and one of these elements was decide on 3D. So this is really a change process in your whole organization. And this is a very important point. 3D is a change process, not let me say, buying a license and start with a new technology. It's a change process inside your company. And typically what we learned in the last years is that a strong cooperation between the brand, the company who wants to go 3D, and us is a very important issue. And what we learned is it's very important to have quick results. It's very important that you have a speed project, so that the people see, does it fit in my organization? What can I do? How can I increase it? What should I change? And we do this typically with a combined team of the brand of our company, and together there are project manager, there are 1 to 3 specialized, and we select then pieces of the collection. And we say, okay, let us go through. And within, let me say, 3 to 4 months, typically, the whole process is implemented, and the companies see what are the benefits. And then after this first implementation, then other implementation projects can follow in different departments, on different collections, on different products. So the company is free to optimize this under their restriction, on the organizational restriction, but a speed project in the beginning is a fantastic way. We can recommend it, or what we recommend, not to buy only license and let people play with that. So this is not enough. Yeah, and then here I think another point is when we look at beside this project, we think a very, very important point is how integrate, how do you start as a company this change process. And what we saw here, only projects which are pushed by the top management were successful. But when it comes from the, let me say, pattern department or design department, it's not enough. So it's really a top management issue to push it, to say, okay, let us start that. We start with a 3 to 4 month project and we realize it. Then this what I told, it's a change project. It's not a software licensing theme. There are different possibilities not to buy a software license. This is another issue, but it is really a project and the company itself has to go through and to change their own processes. Another very, very important point is the integration and motivation of the employees. In the beginning, typically the employees are very motivated and they're looking for, but then it's very important that within this project, then all employees, all the decision makers go the same way, and they will decide on the 3D technology. And when you realize that, and when you are safe that it works, then all people are highly motivated and integrated. And another point is that we see it, don't do a big project, focus on a step-by-step success, speed projects, three months, maximum 4 months, and you see the results. And when you do that, a 3D integration is an easy job, it's a successful job, and your company has a lot of benefits after that. And it's ready for a new Corona time. We don't hope it will go on, but you are ready for this time. Thank you for your interest. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Seidl. That, I think, was a very valuable contribution on a very important topic. And I really, really like how you've made this a very hands-on presentation, a very practical approach, because that is what companies are wondering now, how to get in on this on this game. And I think that became very clear. I was amazed at the 10% sample cost. I'm sure you have a view across other industries, and I'm quite sure this seems quite excessive compared to other industries. That is for sure. So it's good to be able to do something about this. I also think the cost savings are much more actually than that, because of the speed that you gain.
Absolutely.
You reduce the fashion risk, so you reduce the chances of discounts, having to give discounts, and having to produce for stock. It makes it a more effective process as well. So it's even more than you say. So I think I'm very glad that I have one question, and then I think in view of the time we have to stop. Maybe more technical question. I was reading that, and I'm not an expert on this, but that grading is often a problem to create a better fit. So a product is designed with 1 or 2 reference sizes in mind, and then the grading rules determine the dimensions of the product. If you have work with the avatars, you're, of course, I would guess, much more flexible to have avatars for the different sizes, reducing the need to rely on those grading rules to improve fit. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. So there are different ways. So on one hand side, you need the different sized avatars. But it's available if you have a bust manufacturer like Avalon, for example. They offering their busts as a virtual avatar too, so you can use that. And what we have developed a module called 3D grading. And what we do is then that the basic pattern in one size, and when you change the avatars behind them, then the patterns are automatically adapted on it, because we know where are the patterns on the body. And when the body is changed, we can change automatically the patterns, or give the designer, the pattern maker, a good impression where he should change. So it's much more reliable, a higher reliability, and quicker, and you don't need the specialist. And a specialist is helpful, but it's much more faster than before.
Great. Well, thank you very much. So much to gain. Such an exciting time. So, Mr. Seidl, thank you very much again for a great presentation.
Okay, thank you, and good success with your expo.
Great.
Bye-bye.